How's it going, everybody? This is the Cranky Viking here. I'm going to go over a couple things that I noticed in Black Clover Mobile, not in Arena, but with the new raid that came out 2 days ago. So, if you haven't had a chance to log in and get into the raid itself isn't overly complex. As you see, I got past part 6 at this point today, and I'm going to be attempting part 7 tomorrow on a stream. But with part 6, I ended up being able to complete it with these two teams. I've changed very little from when I actually attempted the teams, attempted the actual raid to now. Namely, I kind of changed some gear setups for some of the characters, like Licht. I updated Yami's, and I updated Radis, and I updated Mimosa. So after all those updates, my team actually ended up being able to get it done. It's not overly consistent. I had to try it 2 times with the same exact setups, but I can go in really quickly into my gears. And I'm going to start it with Licht and Raya, as I think for the first phase, they're the most important. So I do have speed upgrades on Licht. Granted, I don't think the speed upgrade, this base one, is very helpful at all, at least for getting him to attack first, just because it only gives a 20% speed bonus if there's a status ailment. So realistically, that doesn't end up doing too much for me. I think where I get the most benefit is the penetration here, because he ends up building a lot of defense and reduces the amount of attack, but also just the flat attack increase here with magic attack, and I ended up getting a crit rate roll on this one as well. The general attack I got on him isn't honestly the best. I might end up re-rolling it, but I did end up getting like additional magic attack here, attack percentage but crit damage here. I think I ended up getting a magic attack percentage on one of these. It might have been this one. No, it might have been on my Raya that I got. And then I also have one set of earrings for Licht. I believe this one gives flat attack and this one gives magic attack. But this one also gives a magic attack percentage that's higher. So it was better off to put these on Licht. So if we go over to Raya, the gear I actually have set up on him, it's essentially what I pulled from Black Yami. So I end up getting 11,000 attack, which ends up about doubling, if not a little bit more than doubles his attack. Obviously, it still has the attack buffs for, let me see, this isn't the best one, but I use it for the percentage, but it ends up giving the flat stat boosts. The if afflicted gets a speed bonus, but also gives the 7% magic and 7% attack boost. So I think those boosts are definitely the most important for building damage. The actual attack here, I end up having attack on, I think, every single one of these pieces. I ended up getting a lot of magic attack rolls on my secondaries, which kind of sucks. I don't think I actually have an attack on any of these, but as you saw before, I end up having an extra 7.8% defense and 7.8% defense here with a little bit of boost of attack. That's just for survivability. Also, just generally, accessories aren't that easy to come by, at least this early into the actual launch of the game. And for Mimosa, her kit's a little lackluster. I ended up getting magic attack percentage on this, which I might switch over to Raya, and then just multiple other magic attacks just to get her heal higher. I didn't really go specifically for any gear set. I just kind of focused on getting her magic attack up. I can improve her kit. So let me go through and do that. I don't think, yeah, that's just crit damage, damage resist. That gives the flat magic attack, and that's just crit resist. So she's actually a little bit better now too, with that little upgrade. But the Radis, I think, is one of the most important characters for at least passing the first stage. And even then, like, you don't have to build them too crazy. Main thing you want to build with Radis is going to be the magic attack. So if you look into his skill 3, number 1 Carl, you get a barrier based off of 190% of your own magic attack. So it's close to 30,000 on the actual barrier itself. And obviously you want to scale that and you want to level this up as much as possible. But the actual raid has a mechanic to where it's going to attack you more if you don't have that barrier on. So you want to make sure turn 1, you end up using his barrier. For the second stage, it's essentially my same team that I use for autoing raids, but I end up focusing on the front end of the raid with all of my accessories. So whenever I actively use my Yami, I end up using the same set that I have on Raya, but I end up having a lot of attack built up on him. As you can see, I almost doubled his attack just through the actual bonuses that I get from all of my set pieces. But something to keep in mind is that this doesn't also include the 7%, I think it is, 7% magic and regular attack bonus that you get from this. If you didn't know, none of these stats end up reflecting the percentage changes I found out. Mars also probably one of the more important aspects of the team. I ended up getting a max on the special defense tree, or I guess special defense gear set. So I have him. It has the plus 30% defense, the 40% increased defense, and 8% fortify. So that goes a long way just for survivability. He's always going to be my last character that ends up surviving. I did end up spending money as well. So I did end up getting this LR earrings for him with a 24% defense. So his defense is well above 13,000. He has insane defense, which again goes a really long way for survivability. Charmy, who's probably one of the goats whenever it comes to it. I actually didn't even know I didn't have any uh, thing on her, which explains why her heal was so terrible. But if I was just to go through really quick as an example and show how I would end up building Charmy, I'm not overly focused on the actual gear sets. I want to make sure that she has as much magic attack as possible. There's a point, if I use my main magic attack build, she ends up having, I think it was 20,000 magic attack and ended up healing close to 70,000, 80,000, which I can show off on a auto raid walkthrough. But I'm just going to go through and make sure this one's better. Make sure I just pick anything and everything that actually has magic attack. So it goes to show, I mean, I was able to even beat it without knowing that I didn't have my character's full build. I'm going to see if I have, I do. This is attack percentage, which kind of sucks. So now she's at 10,000 magic attack, so she should be healing close to 35,000. And she should be good with all that. You don't have to go too above and beyond, I think, with the Charming. Now that I actually have her built up a bit more, she's probably going to do better. Lotus, I ended up building mainly magic attack, a bit of defense for survivability, and I ended up building the accuracy set because accuracy does impact whether or not the hit goes through, and if the hit actually goes through, you have a higher chance of the slow and the extended debuff duration that he benefits from. And then again, just straight basic attack buffs, and then also the percentage of speed if he's afflicted. Again, I think the better speed, if I even have any of that set, the better speed set is going to be obviously the one with the star. I do have it. I might end up building it, but it ends up granting the wearer a 5% increased speed buff for 2 turns at the start of a wave, and then the additional plus 5. So I actually do have, I might end up swapping this out really quick for this. He's not going to benefit at all whatsoever of the attack, but now he ends up having the increased speed buff whenever attacking, and I also have the ultra rare ring on him, which just gives me increased crit damage and HP. Realistically, the only thing I benefit from here is the HP, but that ends up being the sets that I have for all of my main characters. Now that I actually have Charmy with some gear on, her actual combat rating is going to end up going up in the raid if I go into here. If I go into ready, so now it's at 170, 167. Realistically, tomorrow I'm going to be trying the part 7. Hopefully that ends up going well. But that is the team that I end up using for the raid. I ended up beating tier 6 without even having Charmy built. So I had minimal heals on second round. And I mean, second round, he just, especially without a barrier, he ends up getting everybody except Mars down to like no HP. So it's a matter of making sure you end up getting the stat decreases off with Lotus, and then from there, building everything else damage-wise, getting all the damage into it. But honestly, Lotus having that slow, and then Mars being able to taunt, as well as just take a bunch of damage, I think is the best way to go about the second stage. And then realistically, when you do start grinding up, I have 2 days on the actual raid. I ended up getting 333. I think I got a little lucky. But once you actually end up getting the versatile magic pieces, either focusing on shards of will or all the skill upgrade stuff, I would probably skip over the food. because this is only blue food. I would focus on getting stamina up and the Yule, because Yule does run out extremely quickly. But if anything, that's the team and build that I ended up using for the actual raid. Obviously, not every account is going to be built as mine. I ended up spending a decent bit of money on the game because I genuinely enjoy it. But if you wanted to change some things around, I think Soul is a really good alternative to Mars, as she is in most games. I believe if I find the other debuffer, uh, class. There's another blue debuffer that's pretty good. If you have Nozel, you could definitely work in this situation. This guy, I think he has a slow. He has bleed, freeze, which is essentially just a stun. With that freeze, you can end up getting some work in too. I'm not sure if the freeze actually procs on him, but there are multiple alternatives outside of just having flat SSRs. If you need an additional attacker, I believe that Gosh is really good. And if you need a green attacker, I think is someone that you could build if you didn't end up pulling for Licton Raya. For Golion, also another great option. For the actual raid itself, if you need a different defender, that for what you don't build red anyway. I mean, Seke, I've seen him build and go crazy. There are multiple different options. I'm not really sure if Luck's any good, but I mean, if you need to do it, do what you got to do, right? From there, I think that Vanessa ends up putting in some good work. I think she actually is a counter to some extent to this raid, based off of her abilities. I think there we go. It ends up giving a blessing of protection, which is something we end up seeing with the Summer Noel that's coming out. So that's another alternative. If you wanted to make sure your team is extremely speedy when going into the raid, to make sure you get more attacks off, Finral's going to be great. I think he's probably one of the better supports all around just because of the increased speed buffs he gives. And I think that would be about it in regards to who I would recommend as replacement. So just to kind of go back over it, if you need a different debuffer and you don't have Lotus, which if you don't have Lotus, I would probably just re-roll your account if you're free to play and you haven't invested too much. But a replacement for Lotus would be the Nozel as a debuffer. If you don't have Nozel or Lotus, maybe a Heath. Then from there, if you need an additional defender, I think, where did she go? Right here, I think she would be a great alternative. And I think in general, if you don't have Mars, you should be building her up. If you have Mars, obviously build him up. For green defenders, Klaus is okay. Obviously, he's not going to be the best unit. And do we have another SR green defender? I don't think we have another SR green defender. So getting Rhodas is going to be one of your best bets. But that's about the long and short of it. Obviously, try to go for that versatile mage piece where you only get so many. You end up getting 3 from the mage's path. And with Summer Noel coming out, as well as I have right here, Summer Noel and the Julius coming out so quickly together. I mean, you're going to want to focus on one banner. If you can end up getting the Julius max dupe and just throw the rest of these into your Noel, I think that's going to be your best bet. Obviously, you try to pull for Noel. You get one Noel. You get one in the Gateway of Reunion, and then you end up throwing 3 or 4 dupes into her. I think you're going to be in a great spot. But that's the long and short of what I recommend for the limited raid boss. Again, keep grinding this up. I wish you all the best of luck. If you have any questions on any builds, either hop in on a stream or feel free to leave a comment on the video and I'll go through and respond to all of them. But this has been the Cranky Viking. I hope you guys have a great rest of your day, and peace.